Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn are both saying that they think Showtime will go the same way as HBO, that they'll bow out of boxing. And in fact, Eddie Hearn's putting a time limit on it. He's saying they'll leave boxing within the next 12 months. Now, obviously and predictably, Steven Espinoza, the head of Showtime Boxing, he's come out spitting defiance, as you see in this tweet here. Now, personally, I don't know whether Showtime are going to bow out of boxing the way that HBO did. Personally, I'll be disappointed if they do. I was disappointed when HBO bowed out. I think it's better for fighters and better for the fans if there's more competition among the broadcasters. So I was happy when Dazn came out with their statement of intent, because I thought, wow, this is an opportunity to get more boxing for fans and to grow the sport more, to get fighters out more active, so on and so forth. But right as Dazn launch, or shortly after Dazn launch, HBO pull out of boxing. That was disappointing to me. And with Showtime, I would hope that they go the way of ESPN. You see, ESPN haven't pulled out of boxing. ESPN have evolved with the times. They've got the ESPN Plus app. So ESPN are going the same way. Well, DAZN is just a streaming service from the get-go. But that's the direction ESPN are going now too, into the streaming world. That is seemingly the way of the future. They described DAZN as the Netflix of sport. And I like the idea of that. And to me, that does seem like the future. Having sports accessible in the same way that Netflix is accessible for a very affordable price through this particular app. That to me seems very futuristic and forward thinking. And I would hope that Showtime, would go in that direction, the same way that ESPN are, in order to stay afloat and stay competitive in the world of boxing. That's what I would hope. But we'll see, I guess, whether they actually will. DAZN have got a lot of money, and all DAZN do is sport. Showtime and HBO do a whole heap of other programming outside of sport. And Showtime and HBO's competitors are people like Netflix. And this is why Bob Arum is saying that he thinks, well, he explained why HBO pulled out, because of people like Netflix having to compete with them, channeling all their resources into programming which can rival Netflix. That is what Bob Arum said HBO intended on doing. And because of that, there's no money left for big time boxing. And he thinks Showtime are going to go the same way. They're going to realize, look, the boxing market is too competitive and we need to concentrate our resources in, entertainment outside of sport, because our competitors like Netflix, etc., they're going in right now. So we can't afford to let them get too far ahead of us. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'll be disappointed. I would like to see HBO, Showtime evolve their boxing business model and move away from the traditional pay-per-view, etc., and all that kind of thing into subscription. Just like ESPN are doing with their app, just like DAZN are doing with their app. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is this the end of Showtime? Is this the end of pay-per-view? Because this is what Eddie Hearn's saying. He's saying that the Canelo-DAZN deal will end pay-per-view boxing in the United States. And he made a pretty good point. He said, look, there's only one pay-per-view fighter in the United States right now. That's Canelo Alvarez. There are no other standalone pay-per-view fighters. And what I mean by a pay-per-view fighter is somebody who fights anybody and it's on pay-per-view. They don't have to have a A-list dance partner to make it a pay-per-view. Canelo's the only guy like that in the USA right now. Mayweather, yeah, but he dips in and out and he's only involved in novelty fights now. He's only interested in novelty fights. In terms of active fighters, Canelo is the only pay-per-view fighter in the United States. Wilder's not a pay-per-view fight. Yeah, he's doing a pay-per-view event now with Fury because it's the two guys combined and they're trying to do a pay-per-view. But in terms of a standalone, consistent pay-per-view star, Canelo's the only one left. And Hearn thinks that him going over to Dazn is going to signal the end of pay-per-view in the United States. Be interesting to see what kind of pay-per-view numbers Wilder versus Fury does. Because if it really tanks in terms of pay-per-view, then it might really be the end. I was actually wondering whether Dazn would be able to get somebody like a Canelo without pay-per-view, but evidently they have. I don't know how their business model is structured, but I was a little puzzled as to how they would get somebody like a Canelo without pay-per-view on their platform. Eddie Hearn says they can do pay-per-view if they want to, but it's not their plan. But plans change, right? We'll see. But the model that Dazn are using at the moment is like the model they used to use in Britain in the 1990s on ITV, BBC, etc. And in the United States back in, I guess, the early 80s, 70s. And that model is for the networks to pay the promoters and the fighters for the right to show their fights. That's what Dazn are doing, the old school way. Rights fees. You know, it's like the same way that football in the UK is funded. The television companies pay the Premier League a rights fee. They say, okay, we want to show Premier League or we want to show this number of games. We're willing to pay you, the Premier League, this amount of money to show all these games on our station. That's the old school model, and that's what Dazn are doing. It's just different now because it's on a streaming service, a subscription streaming service. So, yeah, will it signal the end of pay-per-view? I hope so. And it's incredible to think that there are people out there, and I'll probably do a separate video on this. There are people out there, like these Wilder fanboys who are completely insane, who don't want pay-per-view to end. They hate Dazn. So they've got this irrational hatred of Dazn, which is so bad that there was a guy in my Facebook boxing group yesterday. I'm not joking. You guys sometimes think I'm exaggerating when I give you these examples. I'm not exaggerating. The guy's actually removed the post finally, and he wasn't trolling. He's removed the post in my Facebook group, I believe, because I couldn't find it when I was looking for it to show you guys in this video how insane these people are. He removed the post because he was arguing with people back and forth for over an hour, trying to convince people that pay-per-view, which is like $60 to $100, pay-per-view in the United States was better value for money than Dazn, paying $9.99 for a whole month for boxing. This guy was actually trying to argue that, saying, oh, it's terrible, Dazn is not good value for money. It's all. This is the mentality of these Wilder fanboys. They're actually insane. They would rather pay $60 to $100 for one night of boxing than $10 for a whole month of boxing. Absolute insanity. So those people, those mentally insane people, they're probably going to be sad to see the death of pay-per-view. But anybody who's actually sane, and I hope that's the majority of you, particularly if you're in America, this is going to benefit you. You're going to love the end of pay-per-view. You're going to love the fact that ESPN Plus are giving you fights for less than $10 on a monthly subscription. And Dazn are giving you fights for $10. You know, a whole month worth of fights for $10 on a monthly subscription. And it's just like Netflix. You don't have to pay for a whole year. You're not locked in. There's no contract. If you want to pay for 1 month, you pay for 1 month. You unsubscribe. You wait until a fight you want to see is going to happen on Dazn or ESPN Plus, and then you resubscribe then for that month. So let's say you're only interested in watching Canelo or whatever fighter, and they only fight twice a year. All you need to pay then is $20 a year. And for that $20 a year, you're going to get 2 months worth of boxing. But yet there are these insane people out there who think, no, that's not good value for money. We don't want that. What we want is the old model where we pay the best part of $200 a year for 2 nights of boxing, not 2 months, 2 nights. So we're going to pay, 10 times as much for 30 times less content. That is what these people who are advocates for pay-per-view are coming out with. It's extraordinary, the insanity that you come across in this YouTube boxing community. It's insane. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is this the death of pay-per-view? Is this the death of Showtime boxing? Steven Espinoza saying that we've been streaming all our fights since 2015. And I hope that's a sign of things to come. I hope they launch an app, a subscription app, just like ESPN Plus, which is going to show all their. I hope they go the same way as ESPN to keep themselves in the game and evolve with the times. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, people. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.